And we are live. Boom. All right, now I got to do the tagging. I wish I could do this differently.
You would think we could just.
God, I know I have to do it every single time. Like, I wish I could just tag. It would automatically tag us, but it doesn't. At Beyond the Scoreboard podcast, I'll say special guest Mike. There he is. Got you, Mike. Sponsors. Come on, baby.
Hit my music button.
There we go. Okay. Yeah, I've tried to figure out how to do this every single time, and it just doesn't let me do it. So, yeah, whatever.
Hey, you end up getting it anyway, Stenda, so you're all good.
What's that?
You end up getting it anyway, so it's all good.
Well, hey, I know. I'm good at one thing in my life.
Our comments, we can see the names this week.
Tanner Do you Weber think? Are we going to see them?
I got Tanner Weber on. He said,
"Okay,
to Tanner as well."
All right, just make that. Last week we couldn't see him.
Yeah, all good.
Jeez.
All right, let's get this fired up.
We're ready to go, man.
All right, so this is episode number 29 of Beyond the Scoreboard podcast. We again want to thank our sponsors, AdCraft and Fatleet, for hooking us up. I got the Fatleet shirt on today. If anybody ever needs anything from us, from them, let us know. We can hook you up with some shirts. Get that advertising out there. We have another guest this week. I'll let our guest give a brief introduction of himself and kind of what he has coached and where he's at. All you, Mike.
I'm Mike from Dysart, Iowa. Started out coaching high school football at Union 33 years ago. Actually, I coached 1 year in college at Plainfield, Iowa, but coached middle school football for the rest of those years. Coached track and girls basketball 6-on-6, which kind of a blast from the past.
Sure.
But middle school track for 34 years. So it's the first year I haven't coached anything in the fall. First fall in 34 years that I haven't coached football. So it was kind of a weird feeling, but I actually coached 3 days of cross country at my new school I teach at. So
yeah.
Cool. Yeah. The guy's wife had a baby, and so I took over for a cross country team for 3 days. So
did you get paid for that gig?
A little, yeah.
Nice. All right. Oh, nice. What school are you currently at then?
Don Bosco in Gilbertville.
Okay.
They're kind of a football powerhouse, wrestling powerhouse.
Yep.
Heard of them? So
yeah, they're 8-man football.
Yep.
Correct?
8-man football. Yep.
Yep.
Lost to Gladrook Rhinebeck at home last week. Double overtime game. And GR scored in the second overtime, and Bosco had it last and went for 2 because they had a couple extra points that didn't go in, and one got blocked and didn't make it into the end zone. So GR is into the finals now. So
yeah, that's a tough way to go there.
It is tough loss, but
so you retire. I got to get this. So you retire.
Yeah.
To unretire.
Yep.
Tell me how that kind of work. Like, how does that work?
I'm only 56, so I was too young to retire. So I need to do something. So I'd kind of been looking for jobs out there, and nothing was really piquing my interest. And then a friend of mine was working at Bosco, and he posted on Facebook, come work with me at Don Bosco. So I clicked on it, and it was middle school math. So I messaged him, and he and his wife got on, and then next thing I know, the principal's calling me, and I head to Bosco and tour the school, and then the rest is history. So it's a good school, nice people there.
Sure.
Kids are really good. So yeah.
How long do you think you'll do that gig for?
I don't know for sure. I enjoy it, so I'm hoping a few years.
Sure. Yeah. Sure. There you go, Coit. You can take some pointers here.
Yeah, I know.
So yeah, drawing IPers, got IPers going, and this is second career. So,
wow. I get that. I mean, I see it like I don't know. I guess if I retired, I'm like, I'm done.
well, you got to have some income.
Yeah.
Besides diapers, that's not enough.
Sure.
I think the same. Once I retire, I mean, I'll maybe find something to do, maybe part time, but
yeah,
I'm out. So whenever that happens. I still have a ways to go, but
I feel like you're a little younger than I am. So
yeah, well, I'm
39.
Yeah.
Things have changed. So
yeah.
Sure.
Well, you got to keep that insurance and all that stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's not
so
cheap.
You still, so it's just so basically you draw your IBRs.
Mm-hmm.
So how does that work? Like, can you only make a certain amount?
If you were working at public school, yes, but this is parochial school, so you can.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah. So there's no limit.
Okay. So that's where
you're doing what they call double dipping, right?
Yep. The proverbial double dipping. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's not a bad idea.
Well, someone's got to do it, right?
Yeah, I got to pack a little away. So when we both want to retire, when my wife wants to retire and I want to be done totally, that you got insurance money there. So
sure. Yeah. How much longer does Julie have?
I don't know, 4 years maybe.
4 years. So you might be doing that for another 4 years, then, huh?
Maybe. I might actually want a little retirement before then.
Yeah, I mean, geez, like you make her go to work and you do what you want to do for a couple of years,
It's a thought. It's definitely a thought.
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
I got a question for you, Mike. You said you coached high school football and then middle school for 30 some years. You mentioned at the beginning. What's your biggest difference between coaching the high school level as opposed to middle school for football? What would you say your biggest?
Oh, man. The middle school kids are a lot of fun. I mean, I enjoyed high school kids too, but the middle school, it's kind of in the developmental stage, so they've played a little bit, in the MFL league and that kind of thing, but you're kind of trying to build all the fundamentals, get them going. So it's frustrating yet really rewarding. So
yeah,
sure.
Did you got Union? You probably had decent numbers going through, or
we did up until the last few years. We've been down in numbers the last few years, but I think a lot of schools are really down all across the board, not just in football, but other sports. Yeah. But yeah, we had several years where we were well over 30 per grade in the middle school. So we were playing some 3A schools and playing the A-B games for both of them every night. So we played like 3 or 4 games a night when we were playing middle school games for a few years there. So, but yeah, it's different now. I think the last year when we had only maybe 10 7th graders out and 14 8th graders. So it's pretty low numbers for 11-man football.
Sure.
No doubt. Yeah.
What do you think like contributes to, I'm going to add to it, like the numbers, like why they don't come out?
Well, we really are just down in whole size in school. I mean, there was only 54 kids in a class, so that probably puts you at 25, 27, boys. And some of them just don't do any athletic events, and I don't know. I'm wondering if some of the youth stuff burns them out a little bit. They're going all year round, with football and then basketball or wrestling, one of the two, so. Sure. Burnout, possibly. I don't know.
Coit,
what are you seeing now in Comanche? I mean, what are you seeing down there?
Well, we middle school wise, I think we had 25 combined 7th and 8th grade, which isn't terrible for our standpoint, middle school wise.
Yeah.
But we only had 5 freshmen out this year.
Oh wow.
So that's obviously a concern moving forward to the next 3 years with that class. I mean, there's some kids in that class that definitely should be playing that didn't, that say they're going to play next year, but you never know. We'll see. We only had 10 sophomores, but and then we have 17 juniors. So next year football, high school wise, will be good. Middle school, 6th grade class has a decent number as well. They're going to be 7th graders next year, but I don't know. It kind of just comes and goes, you know. Sometimes you have a class like that junior class where we have a bunch, and sometimes we have 5, you know. I mean, ideally you want at least 10 to 15 in each class is what we aim for. And sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't, you know.
Exactly.
And I guess to your point, Mike, when you mentioned, you just said like you think that numbers are down in not only football but other sports as well. And I like girls basketball is like we only have 12 girls out, I think 9 through 12 in our high school right now. We only have one junior boy playing basketball, so numbers aren't great. And our wrestling, I think we only have 9 or 10 wrestlers out. So what do you think? And I might have some answers on this, but what do you think contributes to like now, like people just aren't going out for things, not only football but other sports as well?
Boy, I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other things drawing them, I know, and it's a lot of commitment. I mean, it's time commitment, you know, hard work. I think volleyball, I hate to say it, but I think volleyball is kind of hurting basketball, obviously, because that's kind of a lot of club volleyball year round. And I mean, and there's schools around the areas that have shown that, hey, you can play basketball and still be really good at volleyball. But I don't know, people get it in their head that they're going to just do one sport or kind of specialize, and that's kind of hard to do at most of these schools in Iowa.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I don't know. I'm growing up. I was a kid that did everything, you know, and I don't know if I don't know. There's a lot, like you said, there's a lot of things that go into it, I think, and some kids and parents think that they just need to specialize in one thing, but really, if you look at any pro athlete, I would say 99% of pro athletes also played another sport in high school.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I think you're right. Yeah.
I mean, just because they want to compete, and obviously when you're that athletic, you're going to do other stuff too. And then I think part of it is why we see so many injuries too, because people are specializing, and then they're not giving their muscles and their joints and bones breaks or using other parts of their body, you know, like they do.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
overusing.
Yeah. I mean, but yeah, like you said, there's a lot that goes into it, but small schools, you need everybody though.
Well, you definitely do. Yeah. You can't afford to have anybody sitting out.
No.
Sure.
But I don't think it's just small schools that are having the numbers problem. I know like some of the bigger schools and 4A and 5A schools in Iowa had 17, 18 girls out for high school basketball, you know, and at a 5A school, that's not a lot for.
No, that's nothing for all the kids. I mean, it's kind of like Clinton's kind of that way.
Yeah.
Like Clinton's that way in general, like as a whole, like even football, I think basketball for girls for sure. Like they just don't have the numbers. So like, do you guys like, why do they, I know we've kind of already just touched on it, but like, why would they not want to go out? Like, what's the reason behind, like, if you were going to say you're going to focus on 2 sports, you would think, right, they're going to be really great at those sports.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're focusing on. But you can say that, but they're not like great at the sport. They just, that's their excuse. So like, why wouldn't you just go out to compete and get better? That's what I don't understand. Like, you know, as a whole.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's a good question. That's $1 million question, I think. And I don't know, maybe they need to actually do a survey of the kids and ask them why they're not going out, and you know what's keeping them from playing and participating, you know. So I don't know if you'll get an honest answer actually, but
I think you might think I'm crazy by saying this, but I think with like our older, like seniors, junior age kind of kids, ever since like COVID happened and we had all the shutdown and everything,
yeah,
that changed a lot of things, honestly.
Oh, it definitely did. You're right.
I mean, because how many months did we have to sit and do nothing, basically? You know what I mean? And people kind of just got I don't want to say used to that. Some did or lost interest in things, so they weren't doing it anymore. And I don't know. And I know that's probably not affecting the younger generation much because they were so young when that was 4 or 5 years ago now. So I would say for maybe those upperclassmen, that was a little bit of it. But you also, like Tanner Weber says, like his parents either gave him a choice of getting a job or playing a sport. And
Sure.
I don't think there's much of that anymore either. And I think also some kids like get a job and they get some taste of money and they start buying things and like, oh, I can just work and not have to play a sport, but you're also going to work the rest of your life too.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't know.
Throw away your youth. I mean, you can work all your life. You're going to have plenty of years to work.
Yeah. I mean, obviously,
most people have 4 years to do a sport, high school sports, obviously, because most people aren't going to play a college sport.
Yep.
So you've got 6 years counting junior high to be in something.
Yeah.
So I don't understand why you wouldn't want to do it, but
it's weird. Yeah. I've always kind of wondered. I don't know. I mean, I think back to when I was playing, like, I don't even know what I would have done. If I wasn't.
Yeah.
Even if you weren't really like the greatest at the sport, I mean, like, yeah, I worked at Hy-Vee, but you can only do that so much. And it's like you said, like you're going to work from, 21 or whatever until you're 60 some years old. Don't you think you just be like, and just go out for it? Like, it's weird. Cause like now they're just like, yeah, no, I'm going to work. I'm like, well, yeah, you work like 5 hours a week.
I was going to say, I mean, I worked some jobs in high school too, and was able to juggle those with sports. Most employers would work with you, I think, and let you, take you when they could get you,
Sure. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I know we probably mentioned this on the pod here, but I know the other thing, not only, I mean, it's also like a social thing in high school too, like there's not so much anymore where, like kids are going out for their friends, like there's some kids that, their best sport is basketball and maybe their worst sport is baseball, but all their buddies are playing baseball. So they want to be with their buddies and get that social aspect and hang out, and I don't see a lot of that anymore either.
I don't either. And it's almost like if they can't win it, they just won't even want to try anymore.
That's true too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that's the issue though, is like, I agree with that, Mike, but also like in order to win, you have to put in the work and, be committed and do those things. And that is obviously a problem at some places. Yeah. So
I don't know.
That conversation could go on for hours.
I'm sure that there would be a lot of people that could chime in on what's going on there. And
sure.
I don't know if anybody really has an answer though.
No, that is true.
All right. First topic here we go. All right, Mike, I'm going to start with you. Okay. Could the best college football team beat the worst NFL team?
Ooh.
That's for both you. We'll all chime in, but yeah, what do you think?
Well, you'd like to say yes, but boy, when it comes down to it, though, I don't know. I mean, there's so much time. I mean, but in the kind of good college programs, how much time are they putting into it, the film and all that? So I think they could at least make it a game.
Sure.
I'm gonna say no. I don't think the best college football team could beat the worst NFL team.
Well, who do you think the worst NFL team is right now?
Well, that's a good question. You could maybe the Patriots. I mean, you could throw the Jets in there, maybe.
Yeah, Panthers got to be
Panthers, Jaguars would be there.
I'm throwing the Jaguars.
Okay, so say the Jaguars, yeah.
Okay.
And then best college team right now. I mean, Oregon's ranked number 1. I mean, Ohio State's up there. So we'll say Oregon because they're 1. Okay. The reason I say no is because if you look at like even the best college football team, not all those starters are going to play in the NFL.
That's true.
You know,
Sure.
So I mean, yeah, I mean, you look at like the Georgias and Alabamas in the past where they have like 8 to 10 first round picks,
Mhm.
you know, but that's on offense and defense. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
not one side of
exactly.
the ball. I mean, a lot of those guys do get drafted, but not all of them are going to get drafted, and not all of them, if they do get drafted, are going to do anything in the NFL. So those NFL dudes, I mean, obviously got drafted for a reason.
Very true.
Plus, they're just giant individuals and can move and are strong and they're just so much more skilled, I think, than a
I think
college.
you're probably right. I think they're just probably better across the board than
And
the best college team.
they're
Yeah.
legit grown men. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
And I guess college now there's 23, 24-year-olds playing too, but yeah, I say no. What about you, Stenda?
I don't, I would like to, I think at the end of the day, like it's kind of like saying you're going from freshman football to, like varsity, right? Or you say you're going from like, okay, let's just say high school to college and you're playing Division I, whatever. Everybody's on the same like playing field. I don't think so because I think that it's just too fast. They're too
Mhm.
strong. They're too athletic. Everybody's on the same playing field. I don't think so, but that's a topic that comes up a lot because they talk about that, like college basketball, same thing. They'll say that like, hey, the best team in college basketball or the worst team. I'm like, I don't think so because I just think you're on a different level once you get there. So
everybody was the best on their team, and that's in the NFL. I mean, everybody in the NFL was the best on their college team and the best on their high school team, probably. And
sure, yeah. I don't see it. I mean, I feel like look at college. Like if you look at like the receivers and stuff, they'll be like 5-6 yards wide open, and the quarterback's making a throw and it's like, oh, that's a great throw. It's like, okay, well, he's 5-6 yards open. Look in the NFL. Like even today, like if you watch the Steelers game, how many times did Russell Wilson throw a ball that was like, there's a guy right behind him. Like he's right on him. Like you've got to thread it right on time. It's about timing. All those things where I'm like, I just don't think they could, if you put the best team maybe ever in the history, of college against the worst team right now, I just don't see it happening because I think it's just a different level.
Yeah.
I agree.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I could
be good. I like
You're right. The speed of the game is a lot. Yeah. The speed of the game makes a lot of difference.
Oh, yeah. I mean, those guys, God, like I said, you look at like college to the NFL, it's like, it's not even close. I mean, you get some of the guys that get into the NFL and you're like, yeah, they're a bust or they don't do that well. It's like, well, yeah, because you're going from, JV to varsity.
Yeah.
Or however you want to look at it.
I don't think the offensive lines in college would hold up to the defense. The defenses are just too fast and too strong in the NFL for a college offense to hold up to that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Especially for 4 quarters,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's a good point. I'd always, the team I would always like to, what was the team with, it would have been like Sean Taylor.
Miami?
Yeah, Miami Hurricanes.
Yeah.
They would have been defensively.
Yeah, because that would have been like Jonathan Vilma.
Yeah.
Right? Ed Reed, I don't know. He would have played after that, though, right?
Was Ray Lewis on there?
Ray Lewis, probably, yeah. Yeah.
Like those guys, but like even at the same time at that age, like they're not. Are they beating the worst team, which would probably be like the Lions back then?
No, I don't think so.
I don't either. I don't think it's happening. Unless you got Mike at quarterback.
Yeah. No, I'm not a quarterback.
All right. Well, let's see here. What we got? All right. We'll transition just a little bit here. This is for both of you. I got a question for you. I don't care who goes first, but I know the transition as teachers, there's been online learning for students. as opposed to the, in-person traditional setting. Does that help or hurt the students?
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I can go first. I mean, we don't really do a ton of online learning. I know there's anymore. Obviously we did during like the COVID time and all that, but to answer that, I would say it depends on the kid. Because there's certain kids that can learn from, online learning is a lot of like reading and research and stuff like that. And maybe you could have a teacher doing like a Zoom thing or explaining something, but you got to be pretty like self-motivated to learn online learning, I think. So if you have a student that may not really be self-motivated, it's not going to work for them. It's going to hurt them, I think. And I mean, kids learn in so many different ways too. There's some kids that if a teacher's lecturing or drawing up a math problem on the board or whatever, they're going to be there and they still may have no clue what the hell's going on, So, and then maybe if they're online, maybe they can watch a YouTube video and understand it better. You know what I mean? So I guess I would say, I don't know if it helps or hurts them. I guess it just depend on the actual kid, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it takes a special student. I think you mentioned that earlier, that it takes a special student to be able to do the online stuff. You got to be pretty driven, pretty dedicated. I think that interpersonal relationship with knowing your teacher and being able to see them face to face and, ask those questions and get them answered immediately, or for most kids are the way to go. I mean, the online stuff, I think obviously it happened during COVID, but I don't know how the effectiveness of it was.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, it's tough, I think, to, there's a lot of distractions when you're online too. You'd have to really sit down and try to eliminate all that stuff and dig into it.
Sure.
And I mean, and nowadays, kids, they have everything on their phones too, so
yeah.
And that's kind of how they've grown up. So I think a lot of them may, like, when they go to college, they might be like, oh, I'm just going to do it online, but it's still going to be difficult. You got, like Mike was saying, you got to be self-motivated and engaged as well. But yeah, it's an interesting question though.
I mean, but for you guys, in that set, so my thing is when I come up with this question, I'm like, do you their social skills, right? That to me is the biggest thing, is you want kids to interact with other kids, students, teachers, they use that now where it's oh yeah, they can do it from home. How does that help them? Because I know you guys are both saying oh, hey, they can learn from home, but why do you go to school? You go to develop the social skills, right? Problem solve, be able to talk to your teacher, hey, I didn't do this well on this project or this assignment. How do I fix it? You do it from behind a computer screen. Does that really help them? That's my thing.
Socially, no, not really. They can send an email or whatever, but that's really not socially impacting them much, But the other thing, I'm just thinking school in general right now. Every school that I know of either has Google Classroom or Canvas, I think it's called. So the kids, yeah, they're at school, but most of their assignments or homework or whatever they do, they have to get on a computer and get on Google Classroom or get on Canvas to do the assignment. So part of it is still kind of, they're doing something online, you know what I mean? And that's just kind of how education has transitioned with technology. But so they're not, I guess, technically learning everything online, but they're still getting some online learning even in the everyday type setting.
Yeah,
sure.
The personal skills you were talking about, though, being able to talk to people, I've definitely seen a deterioration in that across the board kind of over the last several years, not being able to talk to people and that kind of thing. So I don't know if that goes back to what they're experiencing at home. And I don't know if it goes back to COVID. Maybe some of that goes back to COVID even, when these kids were little, but I'm not sure, but it just seems like some of them are unable to talk to other people and carry on a conversation and ask questions and answer questions. And
yeah, I think a lot of it is the cell phone era too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They've always kind of, especially high school age kids, they've always had a cell phone, and they probably had it since at least middle school age,
Yeah.
So they're used to typing their response in Snapchat or a text or something like that. So,
and that definitely hasn't helped the grammar, I don't think either, as far as punctuation.
Yeah.
Now, talking about cell phones, maybe I shouldn't bring it up are you banning cell phones at Comanche?
So our middle school, they have to keep them in their lockers. They can't have them on them. If they do, or they get caught, the principal takes it. And I only teach one middle school class, so I don't know. Their rules are different than the high school, but high school wise, we have these, I call them these phone holders, where as soon as they walk in, they have to put their phone in one of the holders, and they have to leave it in there for the class. So they can have them during passing periods. They can have it during lunch. If they're in like open study hall, they can have them.
Yeah.
But other than that, like any class they're in, they have to put it in the pouch. So I think it's been great, honestly, because before that, I think we've done that for, I think this is the second or third year we've done that. And before that, we didn't really have a cell phone policy. It was kind of just up to the teacher. They could decide if they wanted to put them somewhere, or they couldn't have them, or they could have them on their desk. They could be on, it was just a free for all, basically.
Yeah.
But this has been great, I think. And the kids are more social, and
it's definitely helped. We have that at Bosco, that they have the middle school kids have to put it in a holder, and they come into the room, and it stays there all day. Actually, they don't have it all. Okay. And then high school, they are supposed to have theirs in their locker. I know there's a little more struggle there, but they said too that they haven't seen them out and that kind of thing, but they know some of them are still carrying them around, but they haven't been an issue really. So for the most part, but definitely I think it's helped, and I know Union's gone to something similar to that. So
yeah, and I mean, our rule is because high school kids, they try to fight that every once in a while.
Yeah.
I mean, the first year especially, but now they're just kind of programmed that they know as soon as that bell rings, that phone's got to be in the pouch type thing. So, but the punishment is if they don't have it in there or they're seen with it, then we notify the principal and he keeps it in the office for the rest of the day. There's been some kids that have lost like phone privileges, but that doesn't happen very often. There was a couple kids that brought two phones and kept one and put a fake one in the
dummy in there. Yeah. Oh yeah.
But whatever.
It sounds like Stenda.
Yeah.
Hey, I had the old Nokia cell phone back in high school.
Snake. You could play Snake on those, right?
Yeah. And you know what? At one time, my mom called me, and I was like passing period, and she said she was not happy. She said, "I got a goddamn bill for all these text messages you sent." And I said, "What do you mean?" Well, they were like 20 cents a text. I didn't know they were. I thought it was part of the plan. And she's like, "You ain't doing that anymore." And I was like, "Okay, I won't." And I was like, "All right, I'm done doing this." But
and you couldn't call anybody before 9 o'clock, right?
Yeah.
9 o'clock it was free. Can you imagine phone plans nowadays like that?
Oh man.
Jeez.
But for you guys, like I said, I mean, both of you, obviously, between the both of you, you got almost 60 years of teaching. Like, to me, and I'm asking this just even from this, right now, that has to be a distraction. Like, if you're trying to teach them in class and they're on their phone, how do you, but then the parents are, I shouldn't say this is, are they okay with it? But they are, because they know they have the phone. At what
Here's
point can you guys step in and be like, hey, hold on here? No.
Well, when we didn't have a cell phone policy, it was, I'd constantly like, hey, put your phone down, like, and then you could be like, oh, well, you can just take it from them. But then if you do that, then they're really pissed and there's a problem and then they get defiant and then you got a bigger issue, So the thing that always kills me is, some kids have like Apple Watches and things like that. So they wear those and they still get notifications on that. And I don't really say much about that, but most kids aren't like just on those all the time.
Exactly. Yeah.
But if they are and they're like scrolling on it, then like, hey, I don't have an Apple Watch, but I know what you're doing, So, but the thing that kills me is a lot of times is I get kids that like, hey, my mom just called me. Can I go away and can I go get that? Can I take it? Or she just texted me. Can I text her quick? I'm like, no, you can wait 40. Our classes are 44 minutes long. I was like, you can wait 44 minutes and text her during your 4-minute passing.
And if it's an emergency, call the office. Mom can call the office and get a hold of you.
That's why we have the office. Yeah. So it's just you run into that a little bit, and but yeah,
I hasn't been an issue at all the last couple of years, really, for me. So
has it not?
No, it hasn't. Not the last couple of years. So
I wondered how that'd be because, like, I don't know. I just feel like that's.
But I also don't have high schoolers either, so middle schoolers are a little bit easier to deal with as far as some of those things. But
sure, yeah, the one middle school class I have out, they, like I said, they have to keep them in their locker, so there's no issue at all. So,
well, you'd think they'd send them to school being like, hey, you're going to school for a reason.
Yeah,
not to be on your. And again, I get it; it's a different era, but at the same time, like, all right, like as a parent, like here's one of the things I always find very relate to both of you guys. Parents will be like, but what if something happens with my kid? And I'm like, so what would you have done 20 years ago?
Yeah, the office will call you and let you know.
Exactly. Yeah.
They'll be like, yeah, but you don't understand. I'm like, I don't. I'm like, yeah, I do. I'm like, you call like the offices.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? Like, oh, well, my kid, he needs to have the phone. I'm like, no, I don't think so. I feel like that's just kind of an excuse.
Now, we do have some exceptions. Like we have some kids that are like English is their second language. So they have to have their phone to like translate and stuff like that. But
and diabetic students, they need a phone for that, and stuff.
That too.
It's a whole different game, but
right.
Sure. All right. Well, hey, I'm listening to the professionals right now, so I like to be educated here. What do you guys? Here's a question for you, Mike. 33 years teaching. Coit, year 15.
16. You're
16. Oh wow. Okay, 6. My bad. So
getting old, Stenda.
What's that?
I'm getting old. I'll be 40 in April. So
you're a veteran.
I know.
So for both of you guys, what's like the biggest change you guys have noticed or as, comes to your mind throughout the years of teaching that's changed in the field of just education as a whole?
Go ahead, Mike. You can go first.
A lot of outside distractions. It seems like, a lot of their kids they're playing how many sports? We already mentioned that, but they're doing like during basketball season, they're playing volleyball or they're doing football or they're doing baseball and they're at practices till 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, and so that's kind of one of the biggest things I've seen is, when I was younger and you guys are a little younger than I am, but there was not all that stuff at night. You did one sport while you were in the sport. You didn't do the other sports during that season. And so you didn't have all that stuff after school. After you got done with basketball practice, you weren't going to another sport yet for 3 more hours before you went home to do any homework. So that's kind of been one of the biggest things I've seen is kids are burnt out. I think by the end of it, they're getting pulled every which way. It might even just be dance or something like that they're in, but they're in something all night, every day.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. I mean, it's a really good question, Stenda, that you have there.
I do my best.
As far as changes go, and like, so I'm a PE and health teacher, so a lot of stuff in PE and health doesn't really change year to year. I mean, it's pretty basic what PE and health is, right? But I'm sure Mike might be able to attest to this because you teach math, and like I feel like education is constantly changing, like what is expected out of teachers to teach the kids, and like what like standards change, and are you standards based grading? That's what a lot of schools are now. Are you traditional grading like A, B through F type thing? So I think that part of like education in general has changed a lot. And I was going to kind of be in the same boat as Mike as far as the kids go. They're constantly on the go and doing things. And I think that impacts them obviously in school too, if they're staying up late and they're at their event or practice, and then maybe they have some homework or things they got to get done for school as well. So, and I think, I don't know, I mean, I want to say, like, people always say that like kids have changed. Like, I don't know if kids have really changed much like over the years. I think expectations for kids have changed, maybe for the worse as opposed to the better. Just thinking back when I was in school and things like that. So, I think that's part of it as well. So,
well, and I don't know. I mean, the kids that aren't in sports and stuff. I heard a lot of them talk about gaming and that kind of stuff, and I don't know how much, if that's still going strong, but a lot of people do that, instead of, homework. But
there's always going to be distractions out there for sure. But
sure.
The standards-based grading thing, Union's going to that, and Bosco is not right now. So
yeah,
I am not a fan of it, honestly. I mean, I understand okay, but math, I teach math, and math has had national standards, for years and years. Before I even started teaching math, there was already standards for math, and you have to teach this, this, and this. Whereas other classes are a little less, structured with some of that, so I understand that, okay, you need to cover these things and that sort of thing. But math is a whole different beast that way. It's
yeah, it is. Well, I was going to ask you, Coach Mike, math. I like my niece a couple years ago, like was showing me like her from high school. And I was like, she's doing like this long division or something. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll show. And she's like, what are you doing? I was like, what do you mean? And I was like, she's like, no, you can't do it that way. I'm like, yeah, that's how you do it. And she's like, no, it's not. And like, she showed me, I'm like, what the heck is this? Like, has that changed? Like, how much has that drastically changed from when you started to now?
Oh yeah, they are learning that differently. I'm not teaching it differently. I'm teaching it the way that you probably would be familiar with, but
sure,
they are definitely teaching it at the younger grades that way.
Can you like, as an educator, can you choose to be like, no, I'm going to do it this way. Like, this is the way I've done it, for, like I said, 33 years. Or do you have to like adapt and be like, well, they're telling us we need to do it this way now?
I don't know. Some of that starts in the elementary, and I've not been in the elementary really. So
sure.
But at the middle school and high school level, you can kind of teach it how you see, the best way to do it. So
sure.
I guess when they get to middle school, I show them the division, the way we probably all learned how to divide and multiply, how we all learned how to multiply. And a lot of them change over to that, honestly, compared to the other way, because it's just quicker and more efficient,
Sure.
I mean, some of the benefits of the other is, okay, maybe they learn what the ins and outs of multiplication and division truly mean. But I think it loses a lot of them, honestly, in how long it takes to get to an answer. So,
yeah, I couldn't believe it. Like, she's like, so I was like, I got dumber as I did this. I'm like, I can't do this. She's like, no, you can't do that. I'm like, yeah, no, I give you the answer in about 2 minutes earlier than what you got here. Like,
Well,
what is this?
my son's in 4th grade, and it was more last year. He'd come home with I don't know, it was like a multiplication thing. He's like circling things, and like I'm like, what are you doing? Like I didn't even understand how it worked. I'm like, I don't have a clue what's going on. I can't even figure out 3rd grade math right now.
Yeah,
But,
I don't understand. I'm not sure it's better, but somebody must think it is.
yeah.
I mean, I get like changing, like if things aren't working, but if it's working, like why change? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like you just like to me,
Well,
like come on.
Yeah. It's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
Change it.
Man. And math, I'll tell you what, Coach Mike, I'll tell you what. Once I got to algebra 2, I was lost. I couldn't do it. I was like, oh my God. I was donezo from there. If it wasn't for turning the homework, I probably wouldn't have passed. But at least like there was consistency, like throughout like the teachers I had, there was a lot of consistency of like how they taught it throughout high school. So it wasn't like you were getting thrown into something and you're like, well, why are we doing it this way? I just wasn't smart enough to figure it out,
Yeah.
But like now I'm like, oh my gosh, like how do these kids, I'm like, this is like, you're giving them like 38 extra steps. I'm like, they can't even walk and chew gum at the same time. Like, what are you giving this to them for?
I hear you.
Speaking of math, I got to give my son a shout out real quick and his team. So, Knox competed in this thing called Some Dog Math Contest.
Oh, cool.
I don't know if you've ever heard of this, Mike, as
I've
a math
heard of
teacher, but they competed against like 18 other schools in the state of Iowa. There's 268 students in there, and it was like 3rd grade through 8th grade, I believe. And Knox got 6th in the entire state, and his team got 1st. So,
cool.
I guess I'm raising a math nerd, so and hopefully some sports in there too. But he definitely gets the math brains from the mom, from Shelby, not from me. So, and he'll let you know that. So I gotta give Knox and his Some Dog team a shout out there.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he ain't getting it from you. PE and health?
No, that's what I said. Math is not my strong point.
Hey guys, come in. You got a worksheet today.
I had my old math teacher in high school listens to this podcast sometimes, Miss Riley, and I was in the geometry club, we called it, but really it was basically for kids that needed help on their homework. They would come in before school and get help.
Yeah.
And then she just made it into like a club. I was part of that because I couldn't figure out geometry. So I passed, but it was tough.
Math is hard.
Yeah, it is.
Mike, come on. How the heck do you geometry's hard?
Some of it's just different way. I mean, it's different way of thinking is what it is. And everybody's got a different side of their brain that works for different things, and like art, I can't draw to save my life. I appreciate art, but everybody's got their strengths. So
what happens if you can't draw or do math? Because I can't do either one.
Can you do on a PE, I guess.
Exactly.
So like, Mike, when did you know, when did you know, hey, I'm going to be a math teacher?
I don't know, maybe junior year in high school.
And you were just like, hey, like it just, were you kind of like Rain Man or what?
No. I was good at math, but I was never I wasn't even the top kid in my class, probably.
Sure.
There was only 35 of us though. And it was probably 4 or 5 that were above me in math, but we had a lot of really smart kids in that class. So some went on to be engineers, that kind of thing. So
sure. Man, I don't know how you did it. I don't know how you can, man, geez.
The upper level math is definitely a different, up to, like you mentioned, once you got to algebra 2, that's from there on up, that's a whole different game.
That's tough.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I'm pretty sure I got a D+. and if it wasn't for the basketball coach, the guy. So I'll tell you, so I get algebra 2 my senior year. My advisor sticks me in pre-calculus.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, I get like a D+ in algebra 2. And that one day I look at my card sheet and I'm like, pre-calc with Coach Hahn. Well, he's a basketball coach and he was a great guy, but I walked in there and he goes, "Hey, what's up, Stan?" I go, "Hey," he goes, he thought I was coming in to talk to him, just to BS with him. And I was like, "No, I got class." He's like, "Dude, you won't last in here." And I was like, "Yeah, I know." And he's like, "Yeah, I'll let Miss Erickson know that." Like, so I went down there. I was like, "Why did you put me in here?" I said, "I can't pass algebra 2. And you're gonna put me in pre-calc." And he's like, "Yeah, no, you're not gonna make it here." And I'm like, "All right."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, Jesus, man. What are you doing? Hey, what do you do?
Is it time for some Bears Steelers talks? Then
Oh, oh yeah. Hey, should we start with the Bears or the Steelers?
Let's start with the Steelers today.
Coach Mike, all right, give us your rundown. What did you think of today with the game with the Steelers? Just overall, where are we headed?
The defense is kind of holding strong. They've been kind of carrying their weight this year, it seems like. Offense has been, I don't know, it was pretty sketchy for offense, but Jaylen Warren gave us some spark again, I thought.
Sure.
He kind of stepped in and has kind of sparked the offense a little bit. But, of course, Boz is stepping up when he needs to. Like last week, I don't think he even had a field goal attempt, did he?
No, he didn't have one. No.
Yeah, and then this week he 6 field goals and wins the game himself. So I don't know. I'd like to see him in the Super Bowl, but I don't.
Can we? Here's the question. Do you think? I still think that our offense is Matt Canada 2.0.
Yeah, it's
just with a better quarterback. We don't use the middle of the field. Our route concepts are terrible. Because if you look at like a lot of the times, like they're running the route concepts, like they just run into the coverage. Mm-hmm. Like you look at it and you're like, well, God, they don't cross anybody. They don't do the middle of the
exactly.
field.
And I don't think they got anybody that can blow the top off the defense either and get open deep, very well. I mean, Pickens is tough to defend, but there's only one of him, obviously. So
sure. Yeah. It's tough to like.
But I mean, when you like you were to mention in the Lions, earlier, and they look like the team to beat in the NFL right now.
Sure. Yeah, man, they're tough. I mean, look, both sides. I mean, offense and defense, even without Hutchinson. Is that Aiden?
Yeah.
But here's a question. So, do you think Pitt can make a run in the playoffs?
Boy, I'd like to think so, but they haven't proven it over the last several years. That's for sure. I don't know. Sometimes, I mean, we've been a little more. I mean, we've been really conservative most of the years, with play calling and that sort of thing. But this year, it seems like Tomlin's been a little more willing to go for it on 4th down and the fake punt, last week,
Yeah.
Some of those things those would not have happened in the past,
No.
So.
No.
I haven't seen all the Steelers games, but Steelers are 8-2, correct?
Yeah.
Should be 10. We should be 10-0.
10-0, really, yeah.
Yeah. It was not even close. We should be 10-0.
Bears should be 6-4, guys. But anyway, so I don't know. I know obviously you guys didn't score a touchdown, but like last week, Stenda, you said that the Ravens you'd argue that they were one of the best teams in the NFL. And I didn't see much of the Steelers game today, but they did a really nice job against Lamar Jackson today.
They did.
They held him in check. And
Henry, I mean, for the most part, he had a big run.
But if you have a defense like the Steelers, I mean, sometimes you only need a couple field goals to win a game. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think they can make a run.
Danny Smith. How about Danny Smith?
But
Coach Danny Smith, special teams coach.
Oh man,
is that guy awesome or what?
Yeah, he's all man. He's got them fired up every week. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, he's the GOAT of special
Yes,
teams.
he's great. He's awesome.
But I mean, I guess go back to like Coit. You're saying this, Coach Mike. You're saying, the defense, and I'm with you on that. But here's the thing: how long can you go when you just throw it on the defense? How many times a day did Pittsburgh have the opportunity on the turnovers to turn into points, and they did?
And they didn't, yeah.
And they didn't. And at what point when it matters the most, can they beat like against the Kansas City Chiefs?
Yeah.
You're going to have to be able to put up points, right?
Yeah.
Like you can't not if you get turnovers. Like I get the conservative part, but how do you to me it's hard to I don't want to say I don't think they can make a run, but I mean when you just don't like you put up 18 points, 6 field goals, that's great. And it is the Ravens. They're a great team. They really are. But when it matters the most, can they I don't know. It's hard
exactly.
to
Yeah. The offensive line is, I mean, they're improved, but there's still room for improvement there, I think, too.
Sure.
Because if you saw much of the early part of the game, Russell didn't have a lot of time there. He's not the Russell of old either. He's not as mobile, and able to make some of those plays with his legs like he would have been. But so that's a definite, kind of red flag too. Is is the offensive line going to hold up?
Yeah.
You got 2 rookies in there in the right, the center and the right guard. So. And they've been doing okay, but I don't know. Broderick Jones has been looking sketchy at times. He's probably got to be one of the most penalized tackles in the league here right now.
Yeah, he does some dumb stuff. Like it's dumb. Like, and like you said, I don't know. I'd like to think like regular season, like cool, you win these games, but when does it matter most?
Exactly. It's I don't know. I mean, they seem to get it enough to get it done, but how far does that carry you? Yeah.
Yeah.
The going back to the defense thing, though, there's been Super Bowl winning teams that have relied on their defense and have won it.
Yeah.
Think of the early 2000 Ravens. I'd even argue, I mean, the Bears didn't win it when they went with Rex Grossman as their quarterback, but they relied on Devin Hester and their defense, so certainly there's teams that can do it and get there and win, but
exactly. And it kind of depends too on whether they call stuff, I think you could call holding against whoever's blocking TJ Watt every play.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
But
I mean, you could, I guess you could argue like, even, Pitt's defenses, like with Ben, like, now again, he had a lot of weapons around him, but they're much more balanced. But I mean, you look now, like they have the skill players, but if you just look at like their route concepts are so bad when you watch them on replay and they show it, you're like, they literally just run into the coverage.
Yeah.
They're not so like you were saying, like Russell, like he had no time to throw
There's
it.
nobody to throw it to. And then there was no time. He didn't have enough time to, for anybody else to get open.
So like, that's where I'm just like, okay, well, maybe you needed to like do something different. I mean, did Mike Williams, how many times did he get targeted?
I don't know if he even got thrown to today.
He got 0. He got a goose egg.
Exactly. But Muth didn't hardly get any targets either. He'd only got a couple targets.
Yeah. So like at some point, like I get you run off the defense and Coit, I'll agree with you. I do 100% because you can do that. But I just don't know, is that sustainable when it matters the most? I don't know if that is or not because.
Well, I mean, I don't know the numbers, but I'm sure if you look up the last 10 Super Bowl champs, I would say their defenses were probably in the top 10.
Sure.
Yeah.
But they also, some of those offenses were pretty good too. But, but I think the Steelers, like you said, they have some weapons on offense. Like
they do. They just aren't getting all of them the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, but what did Pickens have today? I mean, he had a lot of catches. What do you have? 8 catches in the third quarter already? I think so.
Yeah, and then he had probably 12 targets.
Yeah.
They used him. I mean, as you should.
Yeah,
Sure.
and I don't know. I was kind of expecting that they would use Williams a little more or Wallace. I mean, no, Williams, right?
Yeah, Williams, Mike.
Williams. Yeah, I was expecting they were going to use him a little more this week than they did last week since he was just got there, But he didn't even get a target.
I didn't even at one point I was like, is Mike even in the game?
Yeah. I saw him out there a couple times, but they didn't really target him much. And Connor Haywood, how many times he hasn't? I don't know if he's caught a pass in weeks.
No.
And sometimes he's caught several.
Yep.
I don't know, but Calvin Austin's one of the fastest guys in the league too, and he doesn't seem to get open.
No.
Sometimes he does, but not often enough.
No. I mean, if you look at his routes,
that
one where he bounced off of him today, it wasn't it's not like a cut or anything. Like he just one-on-one. And he had a little bit of separation, but not like a ton. And it was like, okay. At some point, you would think you use that middle of the field.
Yeah.
They talk about it. Every game with the Steelers, what do they always say? Man, the announcer or whatever, analyst, he's like, God, they got the whole middle of the field and they never use it.
Never use it, yeah. So this is off the topic. It's about the Raven, but Flowers, what's up with his 2 mouth guards? You see that?
Yeah.
He had a white mouth guard and a yellow mouth guard. Neither one of them were in his mouth ever.
I did see that. Yeah.
When he dropped that one, right?
Oh, it hit him right in the face mask.
Yeah.
And then he scored the touchdown that was, right at the end there.
Yeah. I was nervous then because I was like, shoot. I'm like, because he said, who was it? Was it Dante Jackson? I think that was covering him.
Yeah.
And he kind of fell behind. I'm like, shit. And then he gets him all right, 2-point conversion. And then they kind of flushed Lamar, but
yeah,
man, I don't know. They're tough to watch. I mean, I love them, but geez, scary.
It was definitely an adventure.
But the old Bears. All right, Coach Coit.
Oh, boy.
Hey, we want to hear about your Bears. And we got to, on this segment, not just the Bears, how do you fix Caleb Williams?
Well, I thought he played really well today, honestly. I thought I know it's only one game, but I thought that the offensive play calls were kind of more fit to his strengths. Very first pass play was a rollout, which I like. Got him moving. They got him the ball out quick. I mean, he was getting the ball out in 2 seconds or less sometimes, which he hadn't been doing. So I think this first one under the new OC was much better. The other thing I really like that they did is they haven't done this at all year, but they did a lot of not really like Lamar runs, but they did some zone read stuff with them, and he kept probably 5 or 6 of them and got some good yards out of it. So just getting him to his strengths a little more is a good thing, and I think we did that. We also targeted DJ Moore 10 times, which is the first time we've done that in a while, and he had 7 catches. So I liked what I saw offensively, especially with the guy coming in and having basically 4 days to install what he wanted to install. But I think Caleb Williams is going to be fine. I really do. He's had his first couple weeks were bad. The next 3 or 4 weeks weren't great. We're better. We're good. And then the last couple weeks, but today he was fine. I'm more on, I think what we have to do to fix the Bears is they need a new head coach. 100% honesty there. And I'm not usually the type that is fire everyone type thing, but at this point I am. So defensively solid again. The Packers are pretty explosive offensively. I thought they did a really nice job defensively. But just kind of Eberflus, the head coach there, his kind of game management and what he's doing there, just is not good. Like the end of the game, I mean, we let I think 40 seconds go off the clock and then burn a timeout to kick a 46-yarder when we could have, maybe ran at least one more, maybe two more plays to get it to maybe a 25-yarder, or a 35-yarder, like a PAT attempt, So now those can still get blocked, obviously, but then the pressure isn't as much, I don't think, if you're giving your kicker a 33-yarder, like an extra point, as opposed to a 46-yarder to win the game, So, I don't know. I think that's the first step in fixing the Bears. And I know it sucks for a young quarterback to come in, and then first year your coach gets fired, your OC gets fired, and then you got to rebuild everything. But I think that's the only thing they can do.
Sure.
There's a learning. I mean, you were talking about the speed of the game earlier, and that's something for a rookie quarterback to come in. He's done pretty darn well, really, considering the speed of the game and what you're thrown into. And it's not like the Bears offense had really been that dynamic over the last couple of years. So, I mean, they've honestly done pretty well, considering.
Sure.
Yeah. And I mean, the Bears are still they're 4-6, which isn't great, but like I said earlier, they're literally 2 plays away from being 6-4, with the Hail Mary against Washington, and then obviously the blocked field goal today. And I mean, even if they're 6-4, I'm feeling great, even though the division is unreal right now with the Lions, Packers, and Vikings all having 8 wins or 7 at least 7 wins, all of them. So, but yeah, it's I feel bad for like my son, because he's obviously a Bears fan as well, and that field goal got blocked and he didn't take it well, and I was like, that's welcome to being a Bears fan, man. I was like, if you want to change teams, whatever, you do what you got to do, but I'm always going to be a Bears fan. So,
Sure.
But yeah, it's tough to be a Bears fan, but you learn how to get through some adversity as a Bears fan too, right?
I guess.
And like I told you, Stenda, you sent me the text. You're like, are the Bears going to win this? And that was like fourth quarter. I'm like, no, they're not. So
you did. Well, here's my thing. Like, John Gruden was on Barstool. I think he started working for Barstool Sports.
Yep.
For both of you guys, and he was like, "Hey," they're like, "How do you fix him?" And he's like, I would get the 6-7 guys between the offense and defense that are like the leaders. They got to get behind Caleb Williams. They support him. They're there. He's like, but I don't know what the culture is there. I don't know what the leadership's like. But he's like, until you do that, he's like, he's like, you're going to go back to the same, the history they've had. Like, they just don't develop the quarterbacks. You can't say he doesn't have talent, but at the same time, it's like, how long do you do that until you're like, oh yeah, you just move on from the next? I get saying get rid of the coach. Well, who the hell is Eberflus anyways? I don't know.
He was the defense coordinator for the Colts before he took over for the Bears.
So Stenda, how do you suppose Caleb Williams is going to do with the Steelers in a couple of years?
He ain't coming to the Steelers, you know that. And if he does, we're done. We ain't fans no more. We are not doing that.
Don't do that.
Come on.
But my thing is, like, we honestly
Fields, Williams.
The Bears, what they should have done is they should have fired Eberflus after last year. And I know it's easy to say now because of all the stuff going down, but you had guys like Jim Harbaugh, that you knew he's coming to the NFL, and he played for the Bears, and he's pretty good with quarterbacks, and everywhere he's been, he's won. When he was with the 49ers, they won. When he went back to college in Michigan, they won. Chargers are, I think, 6-3 right now, and
they're
currently
up 21-6 right now.
currently beating the Bengals. So, I mean, I don't know. Dude knows what he's doing. The Bears didn't even think about something like that, So I don't think they've had the right guys in place to develop quarterbacks either. So that's the other issue. But yeah, I don't know. I hope it doesn't keep failing, but I'm like a broken record talking about the Bears, though. That's for sure. Same stuff, different year.
It is. Coach Mike, what do you think? You think the Bears, are they ever gonna? Here's the thing: are they? God, I hate bringing this question up. They worse than them and the Cowboys. They're like in the same category. They just can't get besides the quarterback situation. Dak's a good quarterback.
Yeah.
But they just can't get to where they want to go.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you're right, though. I think they may need to change all the way through. They need a new head coach and see what and get someone that can bring some new blood, new energy to the team, maybe.
Yeah.
But it's going to take the right person. I think. I don't know who that would be, honestly.
Ben Johnson, the Lions offense coordinator.
Oh, here we go.
I said that last week. Stenda.
How about Mike Vrabel?
Yeah, I mean, he's more of a defensive guy, but he's hard nosed. I think Vrabel was a good coach. I know he had respect in his locker room too.
Yeah.
So, and he's definitely been in the game a long time. So,
or here's a guy that's on the next topic. How about Bill Belichick?
I don't know if he's going to come back.
Yeah, I don't know.
What do you? Okay, so the next
he's
topic.
A defensive guy too. They don't need a defensive coach. They need someone to get the offense fired up. I think.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, Bears defense has honestly not been bad, have they?
No, they've been.
They
solid.
seem to be one of the more solid defenses in the league. Really.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they need an offensive coach.
Yeah,
Moore, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think.
I'm not sure he's ready to be a head coach, but
yeah, the Belichick thing. I don't think he's coming back.
You don't think he's coming back? That's the next topic. So. What do you guys think? You think Belichick's coming back to coach again or no?
No,
what does he got? Yeah,
he's like 70. What 72? He's old, right? How old is he?
I don't know.
He's got to be up in the 70s.
He's got to be, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know what he's got to prove. He doesn't.
Exactly. Yeah. He's got 6 rings, right?
Yeah.
6.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I don't know what he doesn't have anything to prove.
But do you think look at him nobody ever thought look at the social media he's done. He retired or whatever he's done at the Patriots. He does all this social media stuff. He's on all this different stuff. Nobody ever thought they'd see him do it. And then Julian Edelman is talking on his podcast. He's like, dude, he's doing this because he's going to come back and coach. And you know where they always land him? The Dallas Cowboys. That's where they land him.
Him and Jerry Jones together. That fits. I don't know if that fits.
I don't know if they're going to get along.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I agree. There's no way. There's no way they're getting – I mean, they're both old.
And I think
– and set in their ways. Yeah. I don't think Belichick's not going to get along with him.
Belichick, I think, wants more than just the head coach too, I think. Because I think that's what when the Falcons were all over him, that's what when the deal didn't go through because he wanted part GM stuff too, I heard.
Sure.
And they're like, no, you're not getting that. And he's like, all right, well, I'm not coaching then. So that's the other issue there. So I don't know. I mean, I know he's doing the Manning cast and he's breaking down all the stuff for each team when he's on there, and he's on he's on McAfee on certain days too. But I don't know. He's just gonna hang out with his 20-some-year-old girlfriend and go on beach vacations and stuff with her. And
hey, good for him.
Yeah, I looked it up. He's 72.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That'd be crazy, I think, if he comes back. But
So you don't think Coit? You don't think he's come back, Coach Mike? You don't think he's coming back?
No,
You don't?
I don't. I'm not sure who's going to go out there and I don't know. Maybe go to the Bears next year.
I mean, I would take Belichick. For sure.
Why wouldn't you take him?
Yeah,
But I don't know.
Ah,
Tanner Weber says bring
maybe
him
Nick
on.
Saban. Maybe bring Nick Saban into the NFL.
There you go. There you go. I would,
Yeah,
I
he'd
would
be a
take
good
that
one.
too.
Yeah.
But when he was in the NFL, he struggled though. Saban did.
He did.
But
Who was he with the Dolphins?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know he's an assistant for the Browns too for a while, but
Yeah.
I think he was head coach of the Dolphins though, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think he's coming back. He's coming back. What you got arguably the greatest coach of all time. He's coming back. He's going to die as a football coach on the field. He's coming back.
So who's he coming back with? Texans?
You know who I thought he was going to go with? The Falcons. And I think the Falcons wanted him.
Yeah,
they really
he turned him down.
But he kind of turned him down. He's like, hey, no. I think here's the thing. I honestly believe he comes back with the Cowboys. I really do. I think they want him. I think even though the Jerry Jones deal, he's too big for himself anyways. But I think if Jerry Jones, while he's still alive, wants to win a Super Bowl, be a contender, he's got to get a guy that can get him there, right? And what better guy than to go with Bill Belichick? I mean, now you guys can say, well, you're an idiot. You know what you're talking about. Okay. All right. He's won a lot of Super Bowls, and Mike McCarthy's not doing it. So
no. He's probably going to get fired, McCarthy.
Yeah.
And who's going to take his spot?
Ben Johnson from the Detroit Lions.
Oh, my God. There you go. Jesus.
That guy's going to get a head coaching job somewhere. Sweet. And then Tanner Weber said McVay to the Bears. I'd take that. I'd like McVay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the Rams. I don't know if he thinks the Rams would let him go.
I don't know. All right. So you guys are saying no. I'm saying yes. Hopefully I'm right for once.
Maybe we should put some money on this.
we could bet if you guys want to.
Oh man.
All right. We'll move
on to the next topic.
Right. Yep.
Coach Mike, Coach Coit. All right. I don't care who goes first. Favorite memory for both of you, either coaching or teaching?
Whew.
I can go first, Mike. You
go
can
ahead.
Think about it if you want. I mean, I have two that I'm gonna go the coaching route. I have two that kind of stick out in my head. My first one would be my very first win as a head coach. I mean, I remember all that pretty vividly. But I think the one that would take the cake for me would be 2020 year when we beat West Liberty at home in the quarterfinals to go to the Dome. That year was obviously unique with COVID year, and we weren't really sure if we were actually going to have a season. And then we missed like the first week and a half of practice because one of our kids got COVID and they wouldn't let us practice. And then it was just nuts. So that game for sure is probably one of my favorite memories. And obviously his first time the Comanche team ever went to the Dome. We returned the opening kickoff for a touchdown. And it was the wildest thing ever. The ball, like our returner didn't even catch it. And it's like bouncing around. And then finally he just grabs it at the 1 yard line. And I'm like, what are you doing? And then he grabs it, makes a couple people miss, and then goes 99 yards for a touchdown.
To the house.
We ended up winning the game. But yeah, that would be my favorite memory right there, and just all the experiences that went into that season, and all the after parties and and all that stuff. So it's a good time.
Sure.
I've had, a lot of years of coaching. I have a lot of good memories, but probably one of my favorites, I think, was probably I wasn't even the coach. It was just watching the kids I had coached in middle school win the state title in 2011.
Sure.
That's pretty special. You coach all those kids and watch them go up through, and then watch them keep maturing and come back from adversity, because they lost, I don't know if it was 2 or 3 games that year, lost to Decorah early in the season, and then came back and won, and lost to Maquoketa and beat them in the playoffs, and go to the Dome and win it, so that was pretty special. Teaching wise, it's been a lot of fun too. I've had a lot of kids that have made it to state math counts, which is kind of like middle school math competition, similar to what Some Dog would be probably.
Yeah.
And that was kind of cool. I had a student qualify for the national math competition, so we go to Disney World with him. So that was probably one of my top memories teaching too, is a couple of students with one of the state math counts and national math counts. So
sure. Well, I've always heard, Mike, all the kids, talk, how you were just, what do you say? I like to use the word terminology, OG, you really cared about them. And you were there for all the right reasons, and I think that's again, I've only been here for 8 years, but the kids and stuff, I think that's important, the relationships and rapport that you built with them. That's to me, that's the most important part in the long haul. They remember you, and I'm sure Coach Coit, you're the same way. Down the road, kids are going to be like, oh yeah, Coach Coit, he did this for me, all these things. But that's what if I talk to anybody, they're like, oh yeah, whatever experience they have with you. And I think that's the best. That's what I like to hear, because I'm like, you're basically preparing them for life. Even though yeah, you want them to get your content, everything you're trying to teach them, or coach them, but they see you outside of just being, Mr. Schmidt or Coach.
Yeah.
So I think that's important. And I think that goes a long ways.
Well, I always appreciate it when former students and players and stuff come up and see you out at a store shopping or at a game somewhere, and ones that you haven't seen in 20 years, and they come up and I'm like, I know your face, but you're gonna have to help me a little bit with your name, because it's been a long time, and it means a lot, when those kids come back and talk to you, after all those years and stuff. And so, like I said, it's all about the relationships, really, and until they know you care about them, they don't really care what you know either. So
sure. Yeah,
I think, yeah. The coolest thing, I think, is when you get invited to a former player's wedding or a former student's wedding. I've had a couple of those. A lot of them aren't. I've been in 16 years, so have been. There's some of the kids I taught are having kids, or have kids, and you're like, geez. But the wedding part, I think, is really cool, because then that really kind of shows that you did make an impact on them, that they're going to invite you
that many years later. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're getting invited to probably one of their most important things in their life, so, yeah, I always think that's cool. Makes you feel good, but yeah, I think the relationship thing is the biggest part of being a teacher and a coach, so, if you don't have a relationship with your students, then there's probably not going to be a ton of learning going on in that class, and same thing with coaching. If you don't build a relationship with your players, then like you said, Mike, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care about them, so.
Exactly. Yeah. I've been around it a long time, and I've had a lot of parents that are students. That I had their parents. I haven't a third generation yet, but a lot of parents. And I went to Don Bosco this year, and I didn't think I'd have any kids that I had their parents. I have 2 of them this year that I taught their parents at Union. So it's kind of funny.
Nice. Yeah, that is.
So,
oh yeah.
what was it, open house. All the students are coming in with their parents, and one of my students from, I don't remember what year it was. It had to have been 15 years ago or more, and I've got his daughter in math this year and stuff. So, and I got one of the 8th grade boys, and I had his dad in school too. So kind of fun. I mean, so.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. I just don't think, when I think back to like the teachers I had and stuff, I don't think, even today, I don't think they really like cherish it enough where they're like, they're a big influence, like, at the time, then later on in their life, and I think that's like for both of you guys, like in your positions, like you've been there for a long time because you're successful. So like, to me, I think, and maybe kids still look back later on and be like, oh yeah, Mr. Schmidt or Coach Coit did this, hey, but I mean, it really is like you guys make a big difference in the kids' lives. And that's what they need, because a lot of these kids, like you guys know, they have split households.
Mm-hmm.
They live with a grandma, an aunt, a family friend, etc. They don't have that. And when they get somebody like you guys, they're like, they latch on. They're like, I'm jumping on, like, hey, I need this structure. So I think, like you guys kind of play like the dual roles. You guys are doing more than just being a teacher. You're like a mentor. You can be a dad, to some of these kids. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think you probably do. I remember having that. Like people, I'm like, oh my God, like it was a different, like I felt like, they cared about me more than just like a regular teacher. So, I mean, I think what you guys do like is like you can't really match it. It's tough, which is why I'm a big advocate for like, where I'm like, when teachers, like me and Coit had a segment on that. Remember the pay and all that, Coit?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We had that. I'm like, dude, like, come on. Like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm a big advocate for, I'm like, let's go here. Like, so I appreciate what you guys do as a whole.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's definitely, yep. I appreciate it. It's, but it's definitely about the relationships, because if you don't have that, I mean, the day in and day out of the school would get pretty old if you don't have the relationship with the kids, so, and also the fellow teachers, if you didn't have the relationship with the fellow teachers, I'm sure you got people at your school too that you are closer to than others, but all in all, I'm sure they're all, people that have your back, and you would have their back, when push came to shove. So, and that means a lot. So
sure.
%. Yeah. Tanner Weber had a nice comment about you, Stenda. You see that?
I've got my.
Well, he said he'll never forget Coach Stenda. I know that. He was always there for us.
Yeah, he was good. I was only like 19 or 20. And I think I had him. Yeah. First year he was a freshman. I'll tell you this, Tanner Weber, we had 10 kids. I think we had 10, maybe 10, whatever. And they played both ways. All of them played both ways. And yeah, we dominated that fresh soft level. But yeah, great kids. Yeah. I mean, I would tell you that, like, I always thought that, the biggest thing was just it's just like, even now for my job, like it's all about the relationships. If the kids don't know who I am, or, you're not involved, you just don't have what you're looking for. So, I mean, I just think in general, like that's important, like for them to have, somebody they can at least look up to, at the time. And like what you guys do every day, like you guys have to do that every single day, like for 35 years.
Yeah.
That's a long time, So
I love doing it. So
it is. It's well, you asked why I went back to do it again, and it's mainly because of that. It's like I would miss all that stuff too. With miss the kids and miss the stuff with the, working close with the teachers. It's not about the math and the football and the track. Really, it's all about the relationships with the kids and the fellow teachers and all that. So
sure.
But
well, you're gonna have to retire at some point, though.
I will.
At some point.
At some point, we'll see.
All right. Well, we'll go to the old tier talk here.
All right.
We'll end on this. All right. So I got quarterbacks who are retired and should go into the Hall of Fame. Now, we know the guys, Ben, Breeze, Brady, Rivers, Matt Ryan. I made some picks,
Eli.
Eli
Yeah.
I got him on here. Now I made some stats here, but I want you guys start off. I don't even care if you just pick a couple of guys or one or two guys, but who's the first ballot? Let's just say this: who's the first ballot Hall of Famer?
Brady for sure.
Oh yeah.
Okay, well let's
He's not.
Brady
let's
is
assume-
signed.
Shouldn't be on the
Brady's a
list.
shoe in. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Breeze would be a first ballot.
Okay.
He's second all time in passing touchdowns, passing yards, I believe. He's probably got to be top 10 in completions, I would imagine. I don't know those off the top of my head, but I know he's top 2 in yards.
He's
So-
amazing too. Yeah.
He has one Super Bowl win, so a lot of times they take that in consideration too. Probably at least 10 Pro Bowls, I would say.
13.
13, yeah. So, yeah, I would say those two are first ballot for sure out of that list.
What about Big Ben? Is he first ballot or not?
I don't know.
Oh
don't know
my
if he-
God.
You think
Are
he's
you
first ballot?
What is he?
All right,
Coit,
so
stop it.
two Super Bowl wins, right?
Yeah.
What's his yard? What do you have all his yards and stuff, Stenda?
Ooh.
Here, I'll give you the stats. All right. 166 in 82. Okay, that's as a starting quarterback.
Okay.
418 touchdowns, 211 interceptions. Rookie of the year in 04, 14-1. Lost in the AFC Championship as a rookie. 2-time Super Bowl champ, 13-10 in the playoffs, 8th all-time in playoff wins. He did never win an MVP, 5th all-time in passing, 8th all-time in passing touchdowns, 5th all-time in completions, and most 500-yard games. 3rd
Really?
all-time in game-winning drives, 6 Pro Bowls. To me, Clutch could play like crap for the whole game and then the last couple of drives and drive it down. Obviously, Super Bowl 43 throws a touchdown, game-winning touchdown to Santonio Holmes. He played 18 years, really 17 because he was out the 19 year when he got injured. Here's the kicker. So for you guys, and this would be a question for both of you. So they used to not consider, the off the field stuff. They didn't consider that. It was just strictly what they did on the field. But I think that changed in like 2011, where they changed it to where they consider that. Obviously, the allegations against him
Mm-hmm.
does that. He's top 10. He's inside top 10 of everything. And there's only like a handful of quarterbacks won 2 Super Bowls. Is he a first ballot, or is it because, hey, the things that happened to him off the field? Does that negate that?
I'm not condoning the allegations or whatever
Sure.
he did off the field, but I feel like that, Ray Lewis murdered a guy possibly, and he's in the Hall of Fame, right? You know what I mean? Like, so there's that. I think they should strictly base it off what they did on the field, but
I agree.
I understand why they go that route, but But did he ever get charged in anything? Roethlisberger and all that?
Uh-uh.
I
No.
don't think so. So, I mean, yeah. I mean, yeah, those stats are impressive.
Aaron Rodgers, he's first ballot guy down the road or not?
I mean, I would, yeah,
Probably, yeah.
I think he is because, yeah, like statistically, yeah, I would agree. Statistically, playoffs, yeah, I think he's like right behind Ben in playoff wins. But I mean, yeah, I mean, but here's the thing: you mentioned Drew Brees. Drew Brees, here, listen to Drew Brees' stats. 19 years.
Insane.
What's that?
His stats are insane.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Yeah.
but look at his wins and loss. So Ben is 166 and 82. Drew Brees is 172 and 115. He's 9-9 in the playoffs. He had 3 years where he had a losing record. Okay. Yes, he has 13 Pro Bowls, one-time MVP, played 19 years. He's tied with Ben for game-winning drives. Ben was 53 with game-winning comeback drives. But if you look at it, he played basically a year and a half longer than Ben, and he's got 6 more wins, and he's only got 1 Super Bowl. He's got the statistics, like, the passing yards. He's got 80,000 passing yards, 571 touchdown passes to 243. But, I mean, again, like, it's, you know what I mean? Like, he's got the stats and the accolades, but is he really like, who's more clutch? Who would you rather have the ball at the end of the game? That's my question. Steeler fan or not?
Are you asking us to answer that?
I'm asking both. Yeah, I'm asking both of you. Like, who
Of
do
which
you want
one of
to
those
have the
two?
ball?
Are we picking from just Breeze and Ben or what? Or anybody?
Start with Breeze. Yeah, start with Breeze. I mean, all the guys on here. Yes, start with Breeze. Who would you rather have the ball?
I'd probably go Roethlisberger, honestly, for that aspect.
Yeah. I mean, if Ben, we're last year or two aside, I'd go with Ben. The last 2 years, he didn't move well enough to be that guy, I don't think. But
sure.
But before that, when he was a threat to pull it down and run, and I'd put him a little ahead of Breeze in some aspects. But
I mean, and Breeze was a pocket passer.
Mhm.
We can't disagree with that. He's a pocket passer. He was not a dual threat. I mean,
No.
So, I mean, like Breeze, like everybody it's kind of like the Brady, like, well, yeah, he had a ton of passing yards. I get all that. But like Ben, when it came down, like everybody I'll leave this and I'll be done. The only reason why anybody says anything about Ben Roethlisberger is because of the allegations. That's it. That's the only reason why anybody brings him up. That's all they bring up. Outside of that, they negate everything else because they're like, oh yeah, they call Raplesberger and all that. Okay,
Yeah.
That's it. That's the only thing you can say that has nothing to do with his stats are top 10 inside of all time in every category: playoffs, Super Bowls, touchdown passes, yards. How do you negate him? Because, and I get it. Like, yeah, you don't condone that, but how do you sit there and say you're going to write him off because, well, these things happen? I get it, but I mean, his stats prove otherwise, and clutch.
mm-hmm.
Well, how long ago did he retire?
He retired at the end of the 21-22 season.
So they got to be out, what, 5 years?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think he'll be eligible 26.
Okay.
That's where I'm just using it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's my case for Ben, because I know everybody always says it about him.
Didn't have a losing season either, did he?
Never had a.
Yeah.
I have Ben, Eli Manning, Breeze, Phillip Rivers, and Matt Ryan. And guess what? Ben has, I mean, accolades wise, besides an MVP, he blows them out. It's not even close. Like clutch too, like when it mattered the most. So that's my case for Ben.
I mean, Eli was pretty clutch, but I don't know what his record was, but it probably wasn't very good.
For both of you guys, is Eli Manning a first ballot Hall of Famer?
I would say no.
I don't think so either. He just hasn't had, I don't know.
He's got to be, I mean, obviously he won 2 Super Bowls, but
Against who?
The Patriots.
Tom Brady.
And probably arguably one of the best teams ever he beat, because that was when the Patriots were undefeated going into the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And they won that. But I don't know, do you have his record?
He was 16 years, 57,000 passing yards, 4 Pro Bowls, 2 Super Bowl wins against Brady, 2 Super Bowl MVPs, 366 touchdowns and 244 interceptions. He was 118 and 118 in his career. 500.
Yeah.
And he was 8-4 in the playoffs. Better than Drew Brees, who was 9-9. Drew Brees had 3 losing seasons in a row, 7-9 for the Saints. I think it was 14, 15, and 16.
Yeah. I would say Eli probably deserves to be in, but I wouldn't say first ballot.
I think just the record kind of holds him out, despite the Super Bowl wins and the playoff wins and that, just the overall record,
Sure.
And not that should necessarily be held, but ultimately that's the goal, is to win the games, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. At 500, I mean, you're sitting at 500. I like that. So now Brees, we can all agree that Brees he's a first ballot, obviously.
Yes, I would think so.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we'll move it. Okay. Next guy I want on the list here. Phillip Rivers. First ballot or not?
No.
Okay.
I don't think he's
Mike,
first
what do you
ballot.
think?
I don't think so either.
Oh, okay.
I think he would eventually get in.
Sure.
I don't think he's first ballot.
Yeah.
He's never been to a Super Bowl, and I know that's not you don't have to win a Super Bowl to be in the Hall of Fame.
Sure.
I would his record's probably close to 500. I don't know what it is.
137 to 107.
All right, so a little bit above, yeah.
5 and 7 in the playoffs.
I'll say yards wise, he's probably in the top 10.
63,000 passing yards. Yeah, he's top 10.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's got a football team of himself, doesn't he? Doesn't he have enough kids to make a football team himself?
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he could field his whole team.
Is he? What's he? Far as touchdown passes, top 10.
So yeah, he beat top 10. He's 421 to 209.
Okay.
8-time Pro Bowl selection. Never won an MVP like Ben. Never won one. Never,
Okay.
But had never been to a Super Bowl. And he played 17 years in the league.
Yeah, not a first ballot, but I think he'll get it eventually.
What do you think, Mike?
I agree. I don't know. He'll get in, but I don't think he'll get in on first ballot.
First ballot.
How long has he been retired?
He retired at the end of the 2020 season. So a year before Ben.
Okay, so
maybe
after next year.
Yeah, be interesting. But you always got to see who's in that class too.
That makes a difference too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Brady had helped like Ben with Brady because Brady retired in 22 instead of 21 like he was gonna. And then he, said, I'm going to come back and play again. The last guy I got on the list is Matt Ryan. Okay.
Not the first ballot.
All right, I'm going to give you the stats. Here we go. 124 to 109, 62,000 passing yards, 381 touchdown passes to 183 picks, 4-time Pro Bowler, 4 and 6 in the playoffs, MVP in 16. He lost to Brady where he clearly lost a 25-point lead.
Mhm.
15 years in the league.
It's going to take him a while to get in.
Yeah.
I think.
Definitely not first ballot, I don't think.
No?
I don't think so.
It's going to take. He's going to be it's going to take him the longest out of all the names we mentioned.
You think Matt Ryan will take him the longest?
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, 4 Pro Bowls. I mean, you look at, it's tough. Like, I think my thing with this whole deal, like the quarterback thing, I'm like, you look back on it, like I think Ben's a shoo-in. He should be, but guess what? They don't. Again, now that they factor in the off-field stuff, which I agree, I don't think it should be. It shouldn't. It should just be what they did on the field. I think, besides Breeze, then you go Phillip Rivers, you go Eli Manning, then you go Matt Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
But, again, these guys, here's the thing. None of them ever had any off-field issues.
Yeah.
That you know of.
Yeah.
What's that?
That you know of.
I mean, that you know of, yeah. Like, I guess I'm getting at it. Like, do you guys think, truthfully, I know that you want to set a good example for the viewers, the kids, the parents, everybody watching. But should those things matter when it comes into the Hall of Fame? That's my question to both of you guys.
Like the off-season stuff?
Yeah.
The off-field stuff, I mean?
Yeah, should that matter?
I say no. I think it's, I guess I shouldn't say no. I guess it depends on like what the person is accused of. Again, like the Ray Lewis murder thing, like he still got in, obviously. But I think you guys just look at what they did on the field, because you're not getting in the Hall of Fame based off necessarily your character. Sure. I mean, that's part of it, I think, but the stats and all that is what actually gets you in.
Should be.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think, Mike?
It's a tough call. I mean, I really support, obviously good ethics and morals and that kind of thing. But when it comes to the Hall of Fame, I don't know if that should, like I said, obviously there's some things that would hold you out more than others, but I don't know.
Well, I'll be interesting. 2026.
Yeah.
I kind of picked all the guys for you, but
yeah. No, I mean, that's who was on the list anyway. I mean,
that's pretty much, yeah. Because I figured, I'm like, well, they retired. I'm like, they're all going to be, like Matt Ryan becomes an analyst, and he does a great job. But I'm like, yeah, dude, you went to one Super Bowl and you blew a 25-point lead. So, I mean, how are you going to say you're a first ballot Hall of Famer? Because you were just a good guy on and off the field. I mean,
yeah,
I'm with both of you guys on like the character and all that, but at the same time, like, all right, it's kind of like Pete Rose. I mean, you can say like, well, should he have been in the Hall? Yeah, he should have been. My opinion. Should Barry Bonds?
Yeah.
Sure. It's what they did on the field. It has nothing to do with what they did off the field. I mean, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
let's go.
I'm with you.
I had to throw Ben in there. I got to go.
Yeah, I knew that was happening.
I'm sure he's going to love that. He's like, oh, you're going to talk about Ben. Jeez.
He was on my list. I get it.
Honestly, I think I'll be honest with you guys. Eli Manning should be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He worked with nothing. He had a terrible offensive line his entire career. He had limited help at receiver. That's what I think. And then he beat Tom Brady twice.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I mean, he had receivers like Mario Manningham. I think toward the end of his career, he had Odell, right? Odell was just coming in.
Sure.
Yeah, David Tyree.
Tyree, yeah.
Who are those guys?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Was never mind. But yeah, he wow. Tanner Weber's throwing Matt Stafford in the list when he retires.
Jeez. He might be.
It'd be, yeah. I think. I mean,
maybe he
maybe
falls out.
His numbers are good.
Yeah.
Be interesting.
All right, to end it, Super Bowl picks. Go. Coach or whoever wants to go first.
Lions, Bills.
Lions and Bills. Coach Mike, who you got?
Lions and Steelers.
Yeah, baby, let's go. Hey, I'm taking Lions and Steelers too, man. It's coming.
God,
blue collar versus blue collar.
Yep.
I don't know if I'll come back on the podcast. The Steelers are in the Super Bowl, but
hey, well, it ain't. Let's be honest, man. It ain't gonna be the Bears.
Well, I know that they're not even making the playoffs.
Well, they could. You never know.
Not in that division.
Well,
not the way all those teams are playing.
I like it. So we got the.
How far can Sam Darnold carry him? That's what I want to know.
I don't know. They keep winning though.
I know how.
Their defense is solid too.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about the Vikings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think he like this is just like a magical year for him.
Yeah, it happens.
I don't know.
We'll find out. Time will tell.
Yeah, time will tell, right?
It is. Well, hey, at least we know who our first ballot Hall of Famers are.
Yep,
for sure.
We know Ben's going in first.
Maybe.
Okay. If not, I'm retiring. You never hear from me again. Let's see what else here. All right. You got anything else, Coach Coit?
I am good. I don't have anything else.
Coach Mike, you got anything?
I don't have anything. I don't think.
Thanks for coming on. We appreciate you.
Yeah, we appreciate it, Mike. Nice meeting you.
Yeah, nice meeting you. Thanks for having me.
You come back anytime you want. Hopefully when the Steelers are victorious in the Super Bowl.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
And we'll have a segment on just the Steelers. Coach Coit,
sounds good.
Yeah, I'll just sit here and listen, I guess.
All right,
man.
Yep.
All right.
Thanks,
Take
Mike.
care. Yep. See ya.
We'll see you guys. Take care.
Yeah.
Bye.